Hello, everyone. My name is Marcus Greeno, Technical Assistance and Lending Specialist at Niji Capital Partners. Today, we are putting on a series called The Nuts and Bolts of NECAP, which basically is a number of different online training videos that help you go through a crash course of, the basics of Niji Capital Partners, assets and liabilities, business structures, business planning, and various other different things that we think are very important for small business owners. And so today, we're going to be talking about the business plan and the organizational section of the business plan. Now, many of you are probably thinking to yourself, what is he talking about? Well, when it comes to owning a business and starting your own business, you usually create this thing called a business plan, which is basically, it is what itself. It's just one big plan of how you're going to carry out your business. And the organizational side of it, or the organizational section, is basically like, you look at it like administrative, what is really like the nitty gritty of what you're providing or offering through your business. So basically, what is made up of the organizational section of a business plan? So we look at, as you can tell, there's an executive summary. There's a summary of the description of the business. We look at a SWOT analysis, products and services, and then we get really into the administrative plan. And we'll revisit that a little bit and go through the different sections to tell you what it's all about, what it entails, and what you need to know. So we come to the executive summary. Usually when I think about writing a business plan, and I think a lot of people feel the same way, is they just want to jump right into it, get it done, and get it all ready because, it's time to like maybe go after a loan, or, you're trying to, find an investor, somebody who's going to invest in your business. Well, executive summary is like that. Stop. Don't touch it. Don't look at it. Don't even fill it out. It's the last section that you want to have completed in your business plan. Because the reason why is the executive summary gives you a detail of every section and pulls out the golden nuggets out of each one. So if you have valuable data, valuable research, you have a very niche product, you're going to want to convey all that. And we talk about the financials of it. You're going to highlight some of that stuff in the executive summary. So basically, this is the last section that you want to basically complete once you're finished with the other three sections of a business plan. So when we look at the overview of a business description, what it basically means, it's just you're basically telling somebody in layman's terms what your business is all about, what products you offer, what services you provide. And it should not be any longer than a paragraph. Really, it's just simple, to the point, and don't have to get too far into it. Some people do, but I think that when you're starting out and you are completing your business plan, it's important that you just kind of start out with a skeletal, because the business plan is a living document. It's going to be changing and revised over and over again, at least every 2 years. A lot of business owners usually want to look at their business plan, revisit it every 2 years to see how effective it is, because it could change. It could just change out of the blue. Your markets could be different. There could be an issue in the different markets that you're in, and I think a lot about, like COVID, for instance, and the COVID pandemic. There's a lot of businesses who relied on a normal life. And then, because of this last year in 2020, we had anything far from normal. So a lot of businesses hurt from it. But if there was a way to pivot, so now that these businesses who have dealt with it, it's important that they plan for the future. And that's why we're really stressing this business plan today. All right. This is one of the things that I really liked doing now, but in the beginning, I didn't like it at all. But I've noticed over time and over the experience of myself, building different business plans, a SWOT analysis is probably one of the biggest things. It's also utilized in a feasibility study too. So when people are trying to figure out, is this business going to be successful, they conduct a feasibility study. And that's basically kind of you're laying the groundwork for a future business plan. And the SWOT analysis is a part of that. So when we look at it, it's like you're starting a new business and you're trying to figure out what your strengths are. When we look at weaknesses, it's like, well, is your product, top notch? Is it going to be replicated? Is it going to be, is there a new, competition that's going to come in, or is there already existing competition that you're trying to compete against? Like that's a weakness there. Maybe another weakness is that, if you are if your product is only available seasonally, then like that's a weakness because you can't have it year round. So you're only making a profit like X number of months out of the year. And then, you have to like either diversify or figure out how to utilize your business to a way where you're making money and generating income throughout the whole year and not just seasonally. So that could be a weakness there too. I think another weakness would be is like, if you're heavily reliant on equipment and equipment just breaks down, that's a weakness because, you're heavily reliant on a piece of machinery that, could break at any moment or, have some wear and tear over time. That's another weakness. So you want to put that stuff in your SWOT analysis. Then we look at opportunities. This is something where people think about is when it comes to the business is the fact that there's always opportunities available. Otherwise, you wouldn't be getting in business or starting a business. So like when we look at opportunities, I see it as, maybe you have a target market that is, ideal and like nobody else can tap it. Or, maybe you are, you have a patented product that nobody else can take or utilize because you created it. That's an opportunity there. That's also a strength too. And let's see, opportunities. Maybe you step into the game and you start competing and like there's an opportunity for you to kind of like, beat out your competition. That's another opportunity there. When we look at threats, now threats is a big thing. So like, my business, I am a business owner, aside from my work in Niji Capital Partners, I run my own little small business. And some of the threats that I deal with is, I'm in the farming and agriculture business. So if I have a crop that grows really well, but then like there's a huge storm that comes through and wipes it all out, like I'm done for the year. Like I have nothing else to rely on. That's a threat. So natural disasters, natural occurrences, like that's a threat. Let's see, another threat would be somebody comes in, they take your idea, they change it around a little bit, and then they sell it on the market as their own. That's a threat because someone just basically created the same product that you're creating and selling it for, a fraction of the cost that you're selling it for. That's a threat. And so that's kind of how you have to think about when it comes to the SWOT analysis. You want to look at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats, because you want to plan ahead for that in the future. Because if you already know that these things are going to happen, then you can have protocols and procedures in place within your business so that you don't have to, get caught off guard. So this section that you're looking at in terms of your business plan, and this is like basically the nitty gritty of it all, because you can't have a business without products and services. Or maybe you have one product, or you focus just on products, or maybe you just focus on services. It really depends on kind of what your business is and what it entails. So when I think about products and services, it's basically, why are you selling or providing the services you are doing or the skills? So, for me, when it comes to the products and services section, you basically want to tell everybody in detail why you're selling the product or why you're offering the skill as a service for people. And you want to be as detailed as possible because you want to convey to the person, whoever's going to be reading your business plan, that you've really thought through this and you really think that there's a niche market for you to tap into, or, there is a need in the community for the skills that you have that you can, put a dollar sign behind and say, yeah, I'm providing this service and this is how much it costs. And if you'd like to work with me, here it is. And so this is the section that's really important, that you want to put as much detail as you can and explain why you're doing the things that you're doing for your business. Here we go, folks. So the administrative plan. So I think a lot of people, when they think of administration or administrative, they get really like kind of on edge about it because like, it's bureaucracy, but it's not bureaucracy at the same time, because when it comes to the administrative plan, you're basically detailing out how your business is going to operate, how it's structured, who's going to be controlling everything. So let's break it down a little bit here. When we look at the legal structure, we talked about this once before in our previous nuts and bolts of kneecap videos about the business structures. Now, you're going to want to put that information about how you're going to structure your business, whether it be a limited liability corporation, a big corporation, a sole proprietorship, a limited partnership, a partnership, or an S corporation. So you're going to want to detail that in the legal structure, and you want to explain why you're doing it and how you came to the conclusion of why you wanted to structure your business like that way. Now, when we look at management, basically how I look at it is you're going to be telling people why someone should either invest in you or give you a loan. And what it comes down to is the fact of like, how much experience do you really have? There's some folks that, maybe they have 17 years experience in the nail salon industry. Maybe somebody has 20 years experience driving a construction truck, and that's what their business is all about. Maybe they're they have 5 years experience of scaling trees and cutting limbs down and providing an environmental stewardship service to the community. So when it looks like that, you want to detail the history of where you came from, like maybe at previous jobs that you worked in, or you've been working on this product for a while, you've been providing this service for a while, but you haven't really gone into the planning phase of it. You just kind of like been ad hoc, just kind of, doing what you need to do to get by. But it's important to document that because people really want to see why the owner of this business is starting and why they want to do it and why they're committed to their business. And that's important. And that's what you want to put in your management section. Now, when you look at owner's salary plan, you're going to want to let people know how much you want to make, and you want to justify that too. So you give them an explanation. So when it comes to owner's salary plan, maybe you're like, when it goes to tree service business, well, I do a tree service business, and how I do it is I estimate the costs by coming in and viewing the area where I'm going to be cutting trees down. And then they give you an estimate. Maybe some folks are like, no, like I do it by the hour. So I'm $20 an hour or $25 an hour. And so that's kind of how you want to look at it. Or if you're looking at it in the sense of like you're running your own business, like a retail business, or we go back to like a nail salon, you're going to want to show like, yeah, so I'm going to make X number of profits over a 1 year period. And I'm going to pull out, $30,000 as a salary plan for the first year. Because basically what you want to be doing this first year of your business, if you're starting your business out and you're doing a business plan, is basically you want to make sure that you have enough money to operate your business going into the next year. So you're not like taking a big cut out. Well, maybe like you take a little bit out now to get by, and then like, over like a 5-year period, it increases over time as sales and, revenue starts coming in more, and it increases over time. Now, when it comes to personnel, you want to think about how many people you're going to need over the next 5 years. I want to say that and stress that 5-year period, because you want to make sure that you're not like hiring a bunch of people right off the bat, and then you don't have any money, coming in, and then you have to lay people off. So you want to be able to scale it and expand it over time. So like, let's say your first year, you're going to hire 1 or 2 people, including yourself. And then next year you double that. And then, as your clientele or as your products are being sold, this allows you to kind of work and ensure that you're not like, shooting one big like cannon out right off the bat and just kind of like hiring all these people. And then your overhead is just, insane. When I talk about overhead, I'm talking about the expenses that your business is going to incur once you put yourself on payroll, as well as other people put themselves on payroll. And then you look at utility costs insurance, like all that stuff. That's important to think about. Now, we look at the administrative plan and we look at training. So it's important, if you're in the service industry, that you have some training available for yourself and for any employees you decide to hire, because training is crucial. Our world is always changing. There's always new things going on, new things happening, new skills to learn. Different industries are adapting, evolving. So you want to make sure that you put stuff in there for professional development or training. It's very vital. I can't stress that enough, because you want to be able to provide a awesome service to your clients, or you want to provide an awesome product that is, ahead of the trends in a way. Another thing too is that, like take for example, now we look at a lawyer. Now a lawyer, obviously they went through years and years and years of experience to get that, 3 years to get a law degree plus 4 years of undergrad. And then once they get their license, they have to go through like a ton of training, because the law is always training. The law is always changing. So training is very critical. So, lawyers, they get training too. They go to seminars and they learn all they need to know about the different changes in the law. It's the same thing with any business. You want to make sure there's some thought put into about professional development and training. We look at personnel duties. Now, this is how I'm going back to the whole thing of scaling and like expanding your business over time. So when you look at personnel, you're going to put down all the duties that you need to do as an owner. And then, from there, you figure out each employee and what they're going to be doing. If your business is very complex and you have multiple facets going on with, you have the owner kind of overseeing everything, and then you have the people who are just kind of like doing the other work, and maybe you have like, a delivery service or something. Like, you want to make sure that you document all those duties so that, an investor or a bank, they know that like you've thought out how you're going to scale your business and how you're going to do your employees and like what they're going to be doing. It's important. And future reference, like when you start hiring employees, you're going to have it all right there. It's already planned. Business plan is in place. When we look at employee profile, this is it's kind of nice. I think it's never really needed, but it's always a good thing, because you kind of want to set out guidelines or standards for who you want to hire. Now, let's say your employee profile is, you need a hard worker, someone who's a self-starter, independent, someone who has awesome customer service, is professional, and they have a sense of humor, because every once in a while, like you need to laugh, because the world's too serious. That's what I talk about when it comes to employee profile, is all the different guidelines that you would think that you would want to see as an owner in your employees that you're hiring. Now, when we go to legal and accounting, this is basically, how are you going to go about handling any legal situations, legal services? Like, do you have your own attorney? If you do have your own attorney, it's always important to put their name and their information in the section for legal. If you have, no legal consultation, but you're like, I don't have a lawyer present, but, I have a service through an organization that I go through for like, a small fee to pay for lawyers' time. So for instance, Niji Capital Partners, we have a lawyer, and we're willing to utilize that lawyer to help anybody that needs help with their business or they need legal advice. That's there for you to utilize. And that's what we provide here at Niji Capital Partners. Now, when we go to accounting, accounting is interesting. Now, when I started out, my business, I really didn't have I think I used an Excel sheet to kind of document all my receipts and everything, expenditures, all that stuff. There's a lot of people that use this thing called QuickBooks. Now, QuickBooks is a good thing because it allows you to organize everything and keep it, nice and clean. I know Excel sheets, they work great, or just, doing a general ledger. Some folks that have been in the business a while, I know you guys have general ledgers available. It's basically just showing line by line what have you spent your money on. Now, QuickBooks is a good opportunity, and it's available. I think it's like $35 a month for a business to basically operate, run, and utilize. Now, when we look at other accounting, QuickBooks can only go so far. It helps you to organize everything, but it doesn't get down to the nitty gritty of what an accountant can do. So you need a certified public accountant, a CPA. Niji Capital Partners has a couple good resources for different accountants that we work with. You can utilize your own accountants, do your own research, but I strongly suggest that nobody uses TurboTax or H&R Block. Nothing against them at all. I just think that a CPA and what they provide is it's priceless, because you can go in there and they're up to date on everything regarding the tax code. So take, for instance, me. I spent about $180 this year on my accountant to kind of oversee all my taxes for my business. And in that time frame, he was telling me all the different kind of incentives that you could do to reduce your tax burden. Because when you are in the business for yourself, you're going to have to pay taxes. That whole thing of getting a federal tax return is gone. Because once you are self-employed, then there's opportunities where you may not get it. Or if you keep your expenses in order, and you document your mileage, that all can be written off on your taxes, and then your tax burden is reduced. So at the end of the year, you don't have to pay so much. So for me, I was looking at a tax burden of, I think, $8,000 for what I was, it was estimated last year. And then this year, I made, I think, half of what I was planning to make, and my tax burden was half of that. But then you factor in some mileage and a few other things like expenses. And then it's all good. One of the things I'm going to definitely say about accounting is it's just so crucial to have that CPA more than anything, because they're going to help you out, figure out the different incentives. I want to say loopholes, but I don't want to say they're loopholes because they're written in the tax code. It's not a loophole. So yeah, that's something you need to consider. How are you going to keep your books in order? And that's going to go all in your accounting section of the administrative plan. So we look at security. Now, if you own a shop or a business and it's in a brick and mortar building, you're going to want to have some security. You're either going to have cameras, you either want to have an alarm system. Maybe you have a couple Rottweilers or German Shepherds that just hang out and they're your guard dogs. That's the things you have to think about when it comes to security. Well, maybe you don't have a building and you just have a house. Well, you have a house and you have your shop, and that's where all your stuff is stored. Well, you want to make sure that, you have some security for that stuff. So if you have pieces of equipment or machinery, maybe you have a camera on it, or maybe you put a fence around it and you have your dog hang out and it protects everything. It's important. It's just important to ensure that everything that you own, your assets, are protected. So when it comes to insurance, it's very important to have insurance. I cannot stress this enough. There's been some moments that I've kind of dealt with in my own professional career, not related to my business, where someone did not have insurance and they got taken to the cleaners at the court. If you don't have money allocated for insurance, you need to do it more than anything, because I'm like any other native person here in the sense of I think insurance is a joke. I really do. But real talk, if you work on a job and you get hurt or you hurt somebody, or maybe you're cutting a tree limb and it drops down and it hits somebody's car, or it hits somebody and they break their leg or their arm or whatever it is, think about that. Because if you don't have insurance and you're doing this work and, you have nothing covered and you're not protected, someone's going to come in there and be like, yeah, I got hurt because this person right here was cutting this tree down and I broke my arm or I broke my leg because the tree limb fell on me. Well, you have to pay all the attorney's fees. You're going to have to pay all the healthcare costs that person had to deal with. And you might get some damages too. That's things you have to worry about. And that's why insurance is so important for people, because mainly it's just one of those like fail safes. Like the unfortunate truth we live in today is that you have to carry insurance in order to protect yourself, but it's vital. It's very vital if you run your business. And that's basically the nuts and bolts of organizational plan within the business plan. That's everything you need to know about what you need to do in order to fill out the information and the sections of the organizational plan and the administrative plan. Thank you so much. I'm Marcus Greeno, your host at Niji Capital Partners, and this is the nuts and bolts of NECAP. Thank you so much and have a great day.